Hello, I am Reverend Sherri L. Jackson, also known as the Preacher's Coach. I am also the creator of the Preacher's Academy and the senior pastor of the Healing Place Ministries of Alexandria. As the Preacher's Coach, I serve and support preachers in helping them to preach in context sermons that will impact their listeners, influence their listeners, and as a byproduct, increase your income. As the preacher's coach, I help preachers to craft sermons that are contextual, meaning that the sermons are based upon the text in context and help preachers to answer the questions who, what, when, where, and why of the text. I help preachers to do some sermon prep that will help them to move those sermons from the biblical pages to the pulpit and ultimately to the pew. As the preacher's coach, my job is to help you prepare sermons that will connect with people. In other words, when you preach in context, when you preach from a biblical text, we must first realize and understand that the text, the scriptures that we have, the Bible that we have was written thousands of years ago in a culture which is foreign to us today. And so our job as preachers is to pull out or to exegete, to pull out what is in the text in order to translate it and to bridge the gap between the text and the pew for in the 21st century. There is a lot in between the text and the pew, and it is our job as preachers to do that. And I want to suggest that when you preach in context, there are three things that will happen to you and for you. You will stand in confidence because you have done your work and you are not all over the place and you can preach with authority. The second thing, when you preach in context, you can preach in calmness. You're not all anxious and butterfly because you don't know which way you're going to go. You have done your work, and so you can stand in calmness. And the third thing that happens when you preach in context is that you preach in a way that you connect with those in the pew. I contend that you cannot preach to the pew if you have not done your work in order to bridge that gap. In other words, to connect. The reason why Jesus taught in parables, at least one of the reasons that Jesus taught in parables, was because he wanted to use language that the people would understand. He wanted to use language that the people would understand. So often he dealt with farming, he dealt with sowing seeds, he dealt with mustard seeds and harvest and reaping, sowing and reaping, because the people were in an agricultural society. And so therefore, he knew that that would connect with them. We need to do that in the 21st century. We cannot preach about farming to people who are living in the city and they have never done, they don't know anything about farming. And likewise, we cannot preach to those in a rural community about things that happen in the city, like traffic jams and things of that nature, because they cannot connect with it. But when you do your work, when you have done your exegesis, when you have questioned the text and you can apply it to those who are listening in the pew. I contend that the text can never mean in the 21st century what it never meant in the first century or the ancient Near East or even in Palestine. We have to know what that original text says, what to the best of our ability with the scholarship available and the research available to help us to bridge the gap, because the principles of God are universal. They never change, but we have to find a way to get those principles from the biblical pages to the pulpit. So I, as a preacher coach, I want to serve you and support you in preaching your best sermons. You can connect with me right here on YouTube at my channel, Reverend Sherri Jackson, MDiv. That stands for Masters of Divinity. I have a Masters of Divinity from the United Theological Seminary in Dayton, Ohio. So connect with me. Let me know how I can serve you, how I can support you to preach in context. Therefore, you will preach in confidence, you will preach in calmness, and you will preach in connection. Email me at coachsherri at thepreachacademy.com. That's Coach Sherri at thepreachacademy.com. Let me help you to preach your best sermons that will increase your impact, your influence, and ultimately your income. May all be well, and I look forward to serving and supporting you. Bye bye.